It's very important for a prisoner to maintain the family ties. It's their only contact with the outside world as such. I think for people with families, close families, supportive families, they have, in my opinion, they have hope.
The only thing to keep me going and give me my strength is obviously my wife, because she stood by me in my time with my girls. I think without them it would be quite unbearable. I've seen where, particularly in families where they can't keep the ties together, they obviously, husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend split up, they don't see the kids ever again.
At the door we have to take our coat, shoes, belts, watches off, and also I have to take Sarah's coat and shoes off. We put it all into a box which goes through an X-ray machine. I then put my finger on the fingerprinting machine, show my ID, and then we have to be searched, which Sarah quite often doesn't like. She gets a bit grumpy and doesn't want them touching her and things. And then we just, after all that, we put our shoes and clothes back on and belts and what have you, and sit and wait for our VO to be called. And then when they call our VO, we go through these silver doors, then through some gates, then it's a tiny walk over to the prison. And then we've got the sniffer dog.
Will you keep perfectly still first, please? Thank you. Come on, step. Good.
Oh, no, Dad.
She came through, is she?
Then we have to wait again, and then an officer will come through, call our names, and then that's when we eventually get into the visiting area where we wait for Dad, which can usually take, well, I have sat and waited one day 40 minutes. Having a 3-year-old, trying to sit her down and stop her running about, she gets very, very bored and agitated, and you know, she's just wanting to go and see her daddy. She does sometimes get really upset. And at the time, there wasn't any play area or anything. And they're just starting to make one now, but at the time there wasn't. So I've got Sarah again, bored to death. You know, where's my daddy, where's my daddy, where's my daddy? I want my daddy. When's he coming? It's dead noisy in there.
Yeah.
And there's people kids running about everywhere.
All these chairs are normally full on normal visits.
Yeah.
You sit upstairs and wait to come down. When you come down, you get about an hour and a half in it.
Do you like it in here? No.
No.
I just want to play now.
Yeah, my first visit coming here, it was horrible, wasn't it? You remember that? The first ever time I came here to visit you, it broke my heart. All I did was cry.
You can't touch each other at all.
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to sit like this. You'd be told to sit back in your seats.
Really?
Yeah, and I've got to stay in this green seat.
And
why is that?
So they know where you're at, I think.
something to do with security, isn't
So
it?
they're always walking around constantly.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't have like, I'm married and that, but you can't have like a cuddle and a kiss and that.
I mean, I love to see my husband. I really, really enjoy seeing him, and I know Sarah likes to see her dad, but it's the situation, like, it's horrible. And in the visiting room, they do get bored, and sometimes they'll ask, like, before the visit's finished, "Oh, Mum, can we go? Can we go?" And it makes me feel awful for Dad.
It's dead depressing, because you've watched them, you've seen them come in, you're happy for that hour and a half, 2 hours, and then when they go, and you go back, it's just back to reality. It's just like a glum, horrible, empty feeling. You can't. There's no way you could compare this room and these visits with family learning. There's no way at all, because it's just completely and utterly different. You feel like a person in family learning and feel like a dad. Where in here you feel like basically what you are, which is a criminal.
You go into the family learning room and there's just yourself and the family learning leader. There's no officers at all, you're just on camera, which makes you feel so at ease. And just, well, you feel human.
This is a typical family learning session that the prison holds. We actually have 2 sessions a week for different families. So this is typical activities that we do, actually colouring in and making things for Christmas today. But it gives the parents a chance to integrate and keep bonds going with children. The actual course, because they do work towards a course, the actual course is 15 weeks long. They work towards a parent craft qualification. So they're looking at things like rights and responsibilities of the parents and of the child, how to help the child learn to read, recognise colour, play. There are some criteria that they are going to be living together upon release, that the child is from 18 months to 5. Because obviously we don't want to take children out of education to come here, so they have to be like below school age.
I think it's just nice. It's like one with my burn and what have you. And we do good activities. It's a bit more private. It's obviously a lot more quiet, and I can keep my bond going with my daughter, which I think is very important. And I think it is a good thing to do. It's actually kept me going. Because I think it'd been a lot harder without this. So I'm actually grateful that I'm allowed to come on here. And I think she gets more out of it as well. I think if you're a family man, I think you should have a goal. Where if you're prepared to stick in and keep your head down basically, and you should be rewarded with things like this. Should be a goal for you to achieve. So it's very important, isn't it, family ties? Without this I wouldn't have any. Oh, thank you. You never made them, did you?
Thank you.
She looks forward to it now, doesn't she?
It's hard to put it back with her and her dad, you know.
Yeah, because she was young. I went through a lot with her. And like I said, if you just kept away from me and just have a visit, it's obviously no good, because there's no bond, there's nothing you can do. That's definitely a privilege, yeah. It goes off how you behave. Obviously, when you're in the prison, obviously if you get any nickings or if you get caught taking drugs, or obviously it's a security risk. So then you wouldn't get on something like this. If you just kept yourself, you do have regular tests. You obviously don't get in any trouble. You're just pleasant and polite to people. You normally get that in return.
I think they should have something like this in every prison, because it does keep the families together, especially for the littlest ones who's going to grow up and like maybe drift away from daddy, because like they're starting to forget him, even though that might sound a bit horrible. And this
does happen though, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the prison should have something like this to stop that happening.
Thank you very much, sweetheart.
I mean, she got to a point where she was saying she didn't want to come here, you know, near the room. She just wouldn't come at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart.
A little busy breather.
Yeah. But like I say, since coming here, she's when she first started here, she was still a little bit within herself, but then she just started to come out, and now look at her. Carefully.
Yeah, being in there has shown me where I've gone wrong, and I even went wrong with all my kids, even with my wife, and this has shown me like where, like spending quality time with them, sitting down for a couple of hours a day, drawing or talking, or just being a dad basically. Where out there I was just flying all over the place.
Too busy.
Too busy. Where it's took this to teach me my lesson, and it has. It's important that families sit and do things together.
And I'm glad this has taught him that lesson.
I'll be a better person at the end of it when all this is over. 100%.
Families coming to visit a prisoner is one of the most important things in a prisoner's life. They're extremely valuable to the prisoner, not only for resettlement purposes for when they go home, but also to allow them to be able to get on with their sentence.
The child has a right to maintain family ties with their parents. We have legislation that governs the way that we support children and enable them to come into the prison environment, but also, above rights, a child has a need. They need to know where that parental carer is, they need to maintain contact, they need to know that they still love them and that they're going to see them again. And in terms of the prison environment, this is why the work of Kids VIP has been so important to date in enabling the prison service to meet what is their duty of care in supporting this vulnerable group, children. The need to create support mechanisms so that people can continue to parent from prison is important, and the prison service have really embraced this. Kids VIP have recently produced, this year, this guide to supporting prisons. This is an opportunity to share good practice. Why reinvent the wheel? You'll need examples of how to run your extended children's visits, the sort of things you need to think about, security, what food on the day, what time to have the visit. Everything you need is in here. It's almost like the Bible to children's visiting.
The only thing to keep me going and give me my strength is obviously my wife, because she stood by me, and my time with my girls. I think without them it would be quite unbearable.